chair, fellow speakers and guests. My job as the assessor is to look at our speech, our speaker, and also how it's delivered. Now the A4 is gestures and body language. Gestures being nice, inviting, engaging, movement. And it's also about body language as well. It's not about being stood still. It's about making sure that when you move around, you engage with the audience. You can step forward, you can step back. It's how the body language and the gestures work together. Now, as we heard earlier about when we work through our assessments, we go from A1 to A10, and each stage you go along, you engage and you use the previous assessment as part of your talk. And so we need to make sure that before on an A4, we're also not only looking for the gestures, we're looking for the mean what you say, which is the A3, and also looking for a beginning, a middle, and an end of a speech. Now, this speech was communication beyond words. And our speaker came up, nothing was said. All we heard was the wind through the hands. Some people really enjoy that. Some people will be a bit confused. But this is what we got. A gesture straight away. And then the introduction of it, of what the sign language, or what the hands were, but the sign language were. So we started with a gesture which was straight in to the A4. We had lots of good examples. We had about 7% of words, which concerned me at first, but later on that was cleared up, and we'll come to that shortly. And then we had some names thrown at us. Somebody called Helen Keller. And even quotes from this person about what's worse than being blind, having sight and not seeing anything, basically. Quite engaging, quite thought-provoking, and you thought, okay, where's this going? We went through, we had things like Makaton, and the gestures within that. And I believe one of the good ones I picked up was with Makaton, they were showing a baby. Very obvious what that is, I think, for everyone, whether they have children or not. It's a baby. Very good gesture. I thought that was great. And then the other ones that I really liked was Hitler's. And the one that really impressed me, and I think pretty much everyone else in the room, was Madonna's. If I can remember what that is, bear with me a moment. Something like that? There we go. Oh, pointy. But another great grand gesture that I think every single person in this room would remember. And I think with our speeches, it's nice to take something away. Something you'll remember of that speech and something you could potentially use. So the next time you want to explain that you're listening to music and the person you're speaking to is possibly deaf. That's all I'm saying. It was also quite interesting within the speech as it progressed through that talk. So we were looking at the beginning and the middle bit as it was padding out with the universal sign language around the world. With the yes, no, and Bulgaria. Verbal and non-verbal. What I'd like to do is actually identify some learning points. Now this speaker did actually come up, and the one thing that really did get me, and I think a few people in the room kind of winced a little bit, was when they went through the Makaton and they said they weren't sure of the names. And that doesn't give us a full feeling of being engaged with the speaker. Can we trust what they're saying? We're not so sure. And what I would suggest is, if you are going to use names, a bit of research, make sure you get it right. And if you're not sure, stick with it. Be positive. Makaton. Mark, Catherine, and Tony. Makaton. Make it stick. That's one of the learning points. The only other learning point I add is when they're making gestures, just make them a little bit bigger, a little bit grander. And I know sign language is very much clear, and we did have a couple of big ones. But all I'll say is if you're doing gestures, make sure the whole room can see them. What I would like to say is for the sign language and for the speech, the A4, I think it was quite good. I think it demonstrated quite clearly the gestures and body language. So therefore, I'd like to congratulate the speaker, tell them well done, they passed their A4, and please let's see what they can do for their A5.